What's up, Gamecock Nation? Tashawn Wanamaker here checking in, and you're about to hear the show presented by Express Suns Rooms of Columbia. Spurs up.
Here in Columbia, well, it's been buzzing loudly all weekend.
Passion of the crowd in Williams-Brice Stadium is second to none.
And the rave breaks out in Columbia.
It is good!
Gamecock fans, welcome home.
See how it goes, but we'll be ready to go.
It's time to root.
Let's go, Carolina! It's gone! Touchdown! What a hit! He baked it in! Can you believe it? Gamecocks have won this game!
Here are your hosts, J.C. Sherber.
Oh, watch him celebrate now!
Phil Molinex.
My wife doesn't like hanging around losers.
And Jamie Bradford.
I'm going to tell him, you look like you joined Duck Dynasty.
All right, greetings and good morning. Happy Friday, finally. Inside the Gamecocks, the show live from the Sinorama Studios and very proudly presented by Express Sunrooms. It is almost the weekend, and it's going to be a good weekend, hopefully, because the Super Bowl comes up on Sunday evening, and we'll get a Super Bowl pick from a Super Bowl champion later on in our program. Former quarterback Anthony Wright will be here for a little while today, and there's a lot to get to with him. The preferred sign partner of Gamecock Athletics is Sinorama Columbia. They are our preferred sign partner as well. 803-407-9284. And speaking of Gamecocks, they are Gamecocks. Gamecock born and bred, and now Gamecock owned is Sinorama Columbia in Columbia. Proud supporters of South Carolina Athletics. Interior and exterior graphics, vehicle graphics. If you need a car or a golf cart, something like that wrapped, they can do that. They can do everything, as a matter of fact, at Sinorama. Production, install, service, design, it's all there. Sinorama.com, and just check out the Columbia location. And our friend Matt Vaughn, the owner, is a wonderful, wonderful friend, and he is a great, great Gamecock. We're 1 week from the opening of college baseball. We'll certainly mix some of that in, and throughout the week, next week, Monty Lee will be here on Tuesday, as a matter of fact, and you'll probably recognize a lot of other voices that'll be joining us next week as Carolina is set to go in 2023. News broke yesterday that 2024 will be the year where Texas and Oklahoma will go into the SEC. And JC's got a good article up on thebigspur.com where you should be a member if you're not. Get your life together. And he kind of has some info in there as to what a schedule could look like for Carolina. They have not decided, though, JC, yet on the format, but they are down to just a couple. So we'll let you get through all that for us in just a minute. But with all that said, hi, Phil.
Morning. How's it going?
We got Bald Phil and Cold JC once again with the crooked beanie to lead us off here on a Friday morning. What's up?
I love it. It'll just
14 beers at Applebee's.
Beanie will just keep going back all game long, all show long.
Yeah, it'll move.
Guys, I've been fix my mic here. I don't know why this thing keeps slipping on me. Let's see, almost 10 years in the media. JC, you're what, 30, almost 30 years maybe or so. Phil, you're
dude, I'm only 46 years old.
25 years. 25 years.
I look that old? My gosh.
Yeah.
I need to get some work done, man. Like Madonna.
Yeah,
get some work done like Madonna.
Just don't wear what you wore, whatever that was.
So I look like Meg Ryan after she got her face hitting the face with a frying pan or a brick or something. I think that's the look. That's the look Madonna was going for, is the post-surgery Meg Ryan look. Yeah, Meg Ryan used to be cute and hot and all that, and then all of a sudden it looks like somebody set her face on fire and then put it out with bricks. Yeah, that's what Madonna says. I probably need to have some of that work done if I'm looking that old.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Nana's Porch award-winning Nana's Porch chat box is open, and so pop in where you, John. Yep, we're aware that Oklahoma and Texas are joining in 2024. What I was going to say was being in the media, every once in a while you have one of those, man, that was really cool moments, and I got a feeling coming up today, personally speaking, that will be one for me. I've certainly talked to a lot of people, but it's always neat to talk to somebody you've never talked to before. And Anthony Wright is somebody I've never actually spoken to before, which is kind of hard to understand and believe, but it's true. And he there's a lot to talk to him about, guys. JC, you texted Phil and I last night, and you mentioned his son as a quarterback prospect. He's starting a quarterback academy, is Anthony. Obviously, we'll talk to him about his time at South Carolina and his thoughts on the current state of the program, facilities, how they've changed since he used to walk into the doors of Williams-Brice Stadium. There is a Super Bowl this week. He won a Super Bowl. He didn't play in the game, but that was Super Bowl 42, the helmet David Tyree catch, and certainly get some background info on him. Or do they actually practice, or is it just all media during the week? What happens when you're playing in the Super Bowl? So there's just a lot of stuff to really get to him with, and I hopefully he can stick around for a long, long time. But really, really excited to talk to what we used to call A1 when you walked into Willie B.
A1. I looked for a GIF of A1 steak sauce on Instagram last night, and I couldn't find one. It had Heinz 57 though. I'm like, not A1, but yeah, Anthony Wright, maybe one of the most underrated guys, kind of in the history of Carolina football. Had some good years. When he took over as the starting quarterback, that team was good. They lost some games they quite frankly should not have in '96. They still went 6-5, and then that was just one of those years where the SEC didn't have enough bowl tie-ins, so they didn't go to a bowl, beat Clemson 34-31 up there, and Deuce Staley and Troy Hamrick ran all over them. The next year he got hurt, unfortunately, and I think that was kind of not only a crossroads for him, but also crossroads for the Brad Scott era at South Carolina. That was a game where they played Tennessee and Peyton Manning, where the Gamecock defense, for once, one of the few times during that era, was good enough for them to win the game. Anthony got hurt and ended up being a 22-7 football game. Victor Penn comes in, tries real hard. and the bottom fell out. The next year, of course, was the one of the worst coaching decisions I think I've ever seen, bringing in Chuck Reedy to run the offense. They scrapped that midway through the year, and Anthony had a pretty good year, and then he called on as a free agent. And where he really was impressive was in the pros. There hasn't been a quarterback at South Carolina stick in the pros like Anthony Wright. Connor Shaw stuck for a couple of years. Todd Ellis got drafted but cut, never kind of came back. Tannehill, no. Petty, no. The late, great Petty, by the way. The guys during Spurrier's, Eric Garcia, Dylan Thompson, none of those guys. Anthony Wright played, though, 5, 6, 7 years and was actually a starter for the Dallas Cowboys, I think, for an entire season. Vanceboro, North Carolina, rocket arm, smooth delivery, beautiful passer. I remember he was a big-time recruit, probably would have been a high 4-star back in the day. And I remember people couldn't wait for him to take over, because you had Tannehill there, and then you're like, we got this other young guy. It was Brad Scott's first quarterback recruit. People were thinking he was the next Charlie Ward, and he, honestly played very well, played very similarly to Charlie Ward. So excited about talking to Anthony. It's a good week to talk to him. Like you mentioned, the Super Bowl tie-in. It'll be good to get his opinion about the program right now, where things are headed, and all that good stuff. Certainly, sort of in my little college years, I guess the year I met Phil's wife and we started hanging out. That sounds weird to say.
That's a long time.
We went to the Clemson Carolina game, the last of the 2-8 versus 1-9 game. It's Anthony's last game as a starter. I remember vividly he put Carolina up 7-0 with a run early. Tickets for $10 to that ball game. And that's the one where the Hardys and Easley screwed up my friend's roast beef sandwich. And our friend in the car, she said, well, I'm sorry. You didn't get any roast beef. He goes, sorry doesn't put the delicious barbecue sauce on my roast beef, does it, Stephanie? And that was kind of funny. We always repeat that line. But got some Hardys, went over there, drank our faces off, make the hike up to the top of Death Valley. It's a little cold. It was a night game and lost, but hell, I had a great time. So that was 98. 99 was a party unto itself. But anyway, I do remember being in Anthony Wright's last football game in a Gamecock uniform. So that's pretty awesome. Played for the John comes in. Played for the Cowboys, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and Giants.
Yeah. And won the Super Bowl with the Giants.
Vanceboro, North Carolina. So there you go. With that, Nana Sports chat box is blowing up. Want to say good morning, Jerry. Want to tell Hayne, look, man, I didn't have carpool this morning. I put up a YouTube. We're starting to try to get into YouTube shorts, and that's not something I've talked to Phil and Jamie about. But I'm about to talk to them about doing a little too some behind the scenes stuff, real quick, getting stuff. And I did one from the carpool because the moose wasn't ready yesterday. So I did not have carpool this morning, and I did not actually have 14 beers at Applebee's. That's a choose your own adventure book that I'm trying to get my way through. Actually, it's called 14 Beers at Chili's, but Applebee's was my hangout back in Spartanburg. You can clip that, and I would sound really cool. Applebee's was my hangout. Yeah, there you go. 14 beers at Chili's. It's a choose your own adventure. It just makes sense because there are people that have done that. Like, I was going to go to Chili's for a couple. Next thing you know, 4 turns into 7. You get the bill and you're like, holy camole. And then you're like, yeah, well, let's go to another bar. I'll come for a couple. And then all of a sudden, you're fighting ninjas. Or you choose your own. You go to the Waffle House. Or you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's go to Applebee's on a Tuesday and see what happens.
I feel like we've lived that choose your own adventure a couple of times.
I guarantee you we all have, all 3 of us. Clint's ready for another welcome home. I tell you what, Clint, when it happens, it's going to be a good player. It's going to be a player that makes you happy. I think, of course, we are at that time of year where sometimes you get commitments from folks and you don't even know who they are. Mm-hmm. But those guys end up being pretty good players. So, But yeah, that'll have Josiah Thompson's right there. The kid from North Carolina that's fast we talked about yesterday's right there. I mean, this class, man, if they can hold on to everybody, woo. Hey, Clemson people are mad. They thought they were getting that kid from Burlington Cummings, and they still may. It's early, but Clemson in that part of North Carolina, they've gotten a lot of guys who they want. That Dexter Lawrence came from up there. DJ Reader came from up there. They're good at recruiting that Piedmont area. South Carolina's not, or hasn't been traditionally. So to go up there and snag that guy, I call him a missile because he looks like a missile. Would be huge for the Gamecocks. And you can never have too much speed, folks. Never have too much speed. By the way, we'll talk about Nick Emenwore and his speed here in a little bit. Good morning, Twisted Rooster. Good morning, Tay. Lance says, what's up? It's a beautiful Bush Latte Friday. You can go to Applebee's or Chili's. Choose your own adventure, Lance. Choose your own adventure.
I want to defend everybody here who is speaking good on Applebee's and Chili's, like Quantrell. Oh, he says his mom swears. I don't really get it because we don't eat there really ever. But if I was on the road and there was a Chili's or an Applebee's next to my hotel or something, I would have no issue stopping to eat there. I like Chili's and Applebee's.
There's a Chili's date challenge trending on Twitter right now. If you win, you win a $150 Chili's gift card, a Chili's silk robe, a champagne flute, and then bath bombs and chocolates. How classy. I like that. I'll tell you what I like better. I like that daggum orange queso they have there. No, I order from Chili's a lot. Applebee's, they don't really have one around where I'm at. But Applebee's, they had 69-cent beer night in Spartanburg when I was growing up, or when I was in college, whatever. JB's lid. Jan likes your lid. I like that too. That design. That's the old school scholarship and leadership helmet design. Is Phil repping for the Cubbies? Phil?
Yeah.
Hey, Phil.
Oh.
Phil, hey. Speaking of 14 beers at Applebee's, Harry Carey. Hey, let's say hello to Martha from Schaumburg. She has a birthday today. Sean Dunston of the plate. Ah!
Sean Dunston.
Sean Dunston. Andre Dawson, the big cat. The Budman and a Cubs fan. Hey, these glasses. I did like that.
I actually.
Hey.
Phil, I think he already had 14 beers at Applebee's.
I asked him before he came on, or was that his night last night? But hey, it's Friday.
I was in bed about 7:30 last night. I haven't said anything because I've been out so much and sick and no voice on Monday and had a funeral, all this crap. I feel silent. Hadn't said anything, but I have had a cold all week, so I feel much better today. Here we go.
I did see somebody just a minute ago in there that said something about the trip to Norman. I am one of the, I don't know if it's few, but I'm one of a few people who my ultimate goal is to go to every team in the league. I want to see every campus and every stadium. Like I love that. I love going to away games. According to Greg Sankey, the now farthest trip to take in the SEC is Columbia, South Carolina to Austin, Texas. So that will be a little bit of a haul, but
that's a flight though. You can fly
that's
there
a flight.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, well, Norman's also a flight. So is College Station. Yeah, those are all flights. I mean, I just drove to Jacksonville, Norman, and I won't do that again. So.
The good news is Quantrell with Norman specifically, because you got those two schools in Oklahoma. You got Norman and you got Stillwater. Stillwater's kind of out in the. I don't want to call it a dust bowl because I've never been to Oklahoma, but I have read the Grapes of Wrath. But that was back in the day, so I don't know if it's probably changed, right? Norman is actually a suburb of Oklahoma City. It's closer to Oklahoma City than Athens is to Atlanta. Athens is not considered a suburb of Atlanta. It's just right beyond the suburbs. But you fly into OKC, you can stay there and go down to Norman. Norman's very picturesque. It does look like people are just going to bust out in song from that musical Oklahoma at any point because it's this big picturesque. Looks like the 50s forgot it. Oh, what a beautiful morning. What a beautiful day. I got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, Oklahoma with the moon. Anyway, that's Jan says Applebee's is 69 in the same sentence. Never popped in my mind. Boy, you didn't go to Applebee's. I did. Anyway, maybe the one in Spartanburg's just all jacked up. The guy up here says that it sucks so bad it shut down in Florence. Poisonous riblets.
I saw your 50-cent shots at Saloon and 5 points. I remember, I don't know if Saloon still does it, but you used to be able to give them $6 and get a 6-pack of beer too.
That's amazing.
I would give them 7. Yeah.
Ryan Kelso with the single, Clint says.
And somebody a minute ago, JC, we skipped over yesterday. You dropped a Gonzi Gray. Just a minute ago, somebody dropped the name of a dear friend. Matthew Odom. Mike Rath destroyed my intramural flag football team his graduate year. I mean, we won every game by 40 points and lost to his team by 50. Let me tell you something. And you obviously figured this out, even though it was intramural football. Mike Rath was a really good quarterback, and he should have played more at South Carolina.
He would have started Spurrier's first year.
Absolutely.
He was ahead of Blake Mitchell a bit with the mental part of it. And he was kind of Spurrier's kind of quarterback. And then the stupid NCAA. These days, Mike Rath would have been able to have 2 or 3 more years of eligibility left. But back then, they were kind of sticklers about it and all that good stuff. Dylan asks, any updates on Rames? No, when I have something on that situation, I'll let you know. I think it's up in the air. It's a legal situation. So, we'll see what's that. All right, Connor brings up the topic du jour. We're going to hit a break, I think, and then come back and start hashing this out because there's a lot of moving parts and it all impacts South Carolina. Folks, this coming year of college football, if you love it in its current format and are resistant to change, savor every moment because this is it. 2024, the 2 West Coast teams go to the Big Ten. The playoff goes to 12 games, and Oklahoma and Texas come to the SEC. So we're looking at one more year, one last hurrah, so to speak, with college football in its current form. So we're going to hash all that out. And Connor does say if they go to 1-7, nothing stopping, say, from Tennessee, Bama playing every year just to be a non-conference game for those second-tier rivalries. Yeah, but I feel like that's a real ACC thing to do, like North Carolina Wake do it. I think the teams in our league will adhere to protocol. I mean, it's and look, I don't know that Tennessee or Bama at this point, I don't know they're going to be totally upset that because it's going to come quick every other year. It'll come quick. You could also do a scenario where it's 2 years on, 2 years off. I sort of like. I think the idea is to get players to play over a 4-year period at every stadium in the league, and you play every team in the league twice over the course of 4 years. So I think that's the deal there. All right, hit a break. Hit the break like Top Gun. Hit the brakes. They'll drive right by me. We'll be back inside the Gamecocks, the show. We'll roll on after this.
The preferred sign partner of Gamecock Athletics is Signorama Columbia, and they should be yours too. A full-service sign company that handles design, production, install, and service, Signorama Columbia has helped to bring to life the perfect vision for so many all across South Carolina. Owned and operated by proud Gamecock alumni, they can handle all types of signage, including interior and exterior, vehicle graphics, and more. Go to Signorama.com and find the West Columbia location, or call them at 803-407-9284. Bring your brand to life with Signorama Columbia and go Gamecocks.
Are you looking to buy a new home? Kevin O'Connell with Union Home Mortgage is a local mortgage expert and Gamecocks fan servicing North and South Carolina. Whether you're buying a home, building your dream home with new construction, or turning your equity into cash, UHM's world-class service will ensure you find the perfect mortgage to achieve your home ownership goals. Call Kevin at 803-906-0244 or visit UHM.com today. Union Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS 2229, LONMLS 1772182.
Gamecock Nation, JB here, and I'm here to tell you about my new favorite painting company, A Couple of Painters. These guys are the best. Gamecock fans and excellent painters, and by far the best and easiest quote I've received. They're licensed in both South Carolina and Georgia. They offer 10% off for military, repeat customers, or if you heard it on the show, commercial and residential painting, deck, fence, and cabin staining, cabinet and furniture refinishing. They'll even remove popcorn ceilings and wallpaper, and they offer pressure washing. Find them on Facebook or call 803-522-6832. A Couple of Painters, proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
This is former All-American shortstop Drew Meyer, and you're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Go Gamecocks.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. Presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. Give John Barber and his team a call, 803-446-4662. Set up a no-obligation consultation about a potential backyard outdoor retreat for your home. And, of course, the first hour of the show is brought to you by the Cindy Searfoss. The Cindy Searfoss? Why not? She is the Cindy Searfoss. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And the Coldwell Banker Kane Realty team here in the upstate. Give Cindy a call, 864-414-5271. Like some others of our listening audience have already done. They've had good experiences with Cindy handling their upstate residential real estate needs. She'll be happy to help you with yours. And then I don't know if you'd be able to do a lot of moving with these things, JB, but at least get you from point A to point B without having to break a sweat, right?
Yeah, that's right. Event and Bikes, you can find them at Electric Bikes of Charleston, Electric Bikes of Charleston Powers inside the Gamecocks. The show, Event and Electric, Magnum Bikes, they're all available. Who here wants to move as fast as Nicholas Harbor? Or apparently Nick even Worry. This is the only way you're going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to catch those guys on foot. Make sure that you've got an event and bike before the summer gets here. That's for sure. Whether you're in the upstate, whether you're in the low country, whether you're in the Midlands, they've got something for you. There's no doubt. Their warranties and service after the sale are unbelievable. Electric bikes are equipped with 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle so you can ride longer, handle the heat better, but still get great exercise. And as I've mentioned this to JC multiple times, you'll never have more fun on 2 wheels. Inside the Gamecocks, the show, powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston, Electric Bikes, Charleston.com, up to 28 miles per hour. They are so awesome, and you're seeing them increasingly everywhere. And there's a reason why everybody from all over the state of South Carolina actually comes here to buy them from Michelle and her team at Electric Bikes of Charleston, because how do I say this without being mean? Because they're just better than everybody. That's why. electricbikescharleston.com. And while we're doing this, let's remind everybody, make sure you go to a couple of painters Facebook page and enter to win a Gamecock room. They will paint your room garnet, black, and white. Somebody's going to win on March 1st. So go to Facebook and type in a couple of painters and enter that contest. There's a couple of stipulations, like up to 300 square feet, but guys, that's a huge room. That's 30 by 10. I mean, that's a big damn room. So if you got a Gamecock room, you can get it painted for free before you decorate the whole thing. So make sure you do that. All right, JC, get to it. But do y'all have a preference? Do either one of you prefer the 366 or the 177 formats?
I think for Carolina, I like the 177. If I were just John Q, whatever.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Let's separate. Let's separate now. Not what do you think is better for Carolina? What do you personally like? There is a difference.
I like the 366. I like the non-conference games.
I do. I agree with you.
I still probably, I don't know. I like nice non-conference matchups because I kind of like it when teams play that haven't played in a while that should play every year. Like when West Virginia played Pitt this past season. I like it when the Gamecocks play North Carolina. I like it when Clemson plays Georgia. Those old school rivalry games. I guess you could still do that as long as everybody else, is sort of, I guess, playing a similar schedule. I mean, and this is what I don't understand with the SEC. Well, you're going to take a lot of good matchups off the table. I think in 2027, Alabama opens up with Ohio State and Notre Dame back to back. You're going to take away those games because teams aren't there. And we're still at the point, and here's the problem. The college football playoff committee is made up of a bunch of old school minds that are excuse me. Told you I had a cold. I didn't want to talk about it. Dang it, I jinxed myself.
Quality radio.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. That's probably I probably should. Anyway, a bunch of old school people. I mean, think about the teams they put in the playoffs that absolutely got the crap kicked out of them. But they only have one loss compared to two, and that still means so much in college football. I'd hate to see it if Alabama played at Notre Dame and Ohio State or whatever, and then went through a brutal 9-game SEC schedule. And then lost 2 games. And then you got a team from the ACC. I won't say Clemson in the interest of fairness, maybe a Florida State that's 11-1, but they haven't played anybody, and their one loss is more egregious than the 2 that Alabama took. They're still, with the mindset they have now, that team's getting in over that other team, even in a 12-team format. Because you're going to have that. You're going to have a group of 5s jumping up. And also because the AP rankings and coaches rankings are about, I mean, I could go scrape this turtle poo out the bottom of my pond and have a product that meant more to college football than some of those polls, because they're just like hamsters. They sit there and until you lose, you do this. Well, we're in a different era. We're in a playoff era. And so until you do that, you're going to have schools that are forced to say, look, we beefed up our schedule knowing playoff expansion was coming, but it doesn't do you any good. And so those games are going to go away.
JC, I don't know that that's entirely true. Here's why. The Big Ten already plays 9 conference games. A team like Alabama is going to have a really difficult time. First of all, Saban wants to play 12 conference games. He ain't scared to play anybody. He likes playing games that matter. But this is just specifically Alabama. Obviously, South Carolina and Mississippi State might be a different animal. But, if you're the SEC and you have 9 league games and you're the Big Ten, you have 9 league games, and the SEC team says, yeah, we already got 9 league games. We're not interested. People like the Big Ten are going to go, yeah, that's no, because we play 9 league games too, right? And the Big Ten is a good league. Is it the SEC? I personally don't think so. We'll see what happens in the future. Southern Cal and UCLA are headed there as well. I like. Do you like the idea though? Either way, that either model 1-7 or 3-6, you're going to play everybody in the league home and away within a 4-year period. Basically, meaning everybody that comes to school, based on the standard model of 4 years in college, would get a chance to play every team in the league home and away. And Phil, I don't think we've gotten your input on this yet. I like the 3-6 simply because I'd rather see 9 conference games. Although I don't want to see that at the expense of, like you mentioned, home and homes with Virginia Tech, NC State, Miami, teams like that you traditionally don't get to play here at South Carolina.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to be able to put guardrails on everybody else to say, okay, everyone has to play 2 Power 5 teams a year, and then you get one, group of 5 or lesser opponent. I think you hit it, Jamie, rotating through the entire conference for me is one of the things that should be a primary goal in this, and that every team gets to play everybody within, a traditional college career span. I think that definitely solves it. But, there's the argument really, there's a lot of them. I think it's important for, South Carolina and Clemson to both play schools like South Carolina State, give them that bit of money every year. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it supports those schools and athletic programs that, quite frankly, don't make near the dollars that your Power 5 programs have. And you're going to lose some of that if you, try to constrain the scheduling. So while my heart says I like the 3-6-6 model, I think in reality, the 1-7 might be a better way to go, because it does give you the ability to schedule, like you said, home and homes with, non-conference opponents. And it doesn't put the Clemson game in jeopardy ever, because there'll always be that game there.
People, I'll never understand, like, from the beginning, why Carolina fans had a lot of angst about playing in Charlotte. I thought it was a good idea. It was actually Steve Spurrier's idea. If you guys that hate Ray Tanner,
God bless our troops, by the way.
Yeah,
as I watch a couple of our helicopters fly over.
Nice,
that's right.
It was Spurrier's idea to play North Carolina and Charlotte, by the way, not Ray Tanner. So people want to blame him. But I do think, not just the Carolina's fan base, but over time, the neutral site games in the opening weekend of the year, outside of the one in Atlanta, it's lost its mojo.
I know
people are wanting to go more home and home. I mean, I'm on the air in Tuscaloosa every Wednesday. Alabama fans raised Cain. The last straw for them was they had to play Duke in Atlanta. What Duke? Who gets excited about it? Why not just play them at home? And they want more home games. And so this year is the last Charlotte game on the schedule for South Carolina, because Howard asked, why are you playing North Carolina and Charlotte? This is the last one of those games, and the one toward the end of the decade is in Chapel Hill and in Columbia to open the season. Same with NC State. Gamecocks are going back to Carter Finley. Same with Virginia Tech. They'll be going to Blacksburg. The only neutral site game scheduled is that game in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz against the Hokies in 2025. And you'd be a complete idiot not to want anybody to play in that Atlanta game, because Carolina's never played that game. And that particular game to open the season, the Chick-fil-A kickoff or whatever, because of where it is, it's right next to the College Football Hall of Fame, because of the quality of opponent, because of the spotlight on Labor Day those games get, those are very important. It took maybe, 25 years for the Chick-fil-A people to invite Carolina. They finally did. So that's staying, but the rest of these are home and homes. And quite frankly, going to Miami in September is going to be kind of cool. Playing down there.
It won't be cool.
Although the Gamecocks vowed never to play in '87, the Gamecocks vowed never to play them again. But I guess because of the Independence Bowl, they've made amends or whatever. But so that's the deal.
Okay, so you prefer the 1-7 for?
I prefer the 1-7 because I like those non-conference home and homes. I also think this. And Garrett asked, "What's the 3-6 and 1-7?" Let me explain it real quick for those of you that don't get. 3-6 is a 9-game conference schedule. You'll have 3 permanent opponents, and then you'll play the other 6. You'll play 6 teams 1 year, and then the next year you'll play 6. So it's really 3-6-6 and 1-7-7. In other words, so you'll have, for example, in my model I came up with today, I had Carolina playing Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Georgia. And then Schedule A had like Texas, Alabama, blah, blah, blah. Schedule B, A&M, Auburn, blah, blah, blah. And you go through it and you try to make it as balanced as possible. Then everybody plays everybody. You're going to be going to Austin, Texas every 4 years. You're going to be in Norman, Oklahoma every 4 years. Baton Rouge every 4 years. And that's what the vast majority of the SEC coaches, players, fans won't. Think about how stale the schedule's gotten, man. Carolina hadn't been to Bryant-Denny Stadium. All right, they played at Bryant-Denny Stadium the year Saban won his first national championship.
Yeah, 2009.
Think about all that time. And Bama and Carolina are in the same league.
Right.
So that's the deal. So that's 3-6-6. That's 3-6-6 and 1-7-7. I like the 1-7-7 a good bit because, you don't feel cramped because 4 SEC football teams have rivalries with ACC football teams in state. You also have Oklahoma, which even though everybody's got their panties in a wad right now, I think they need to play Oklahoma State or Nebraska or one of their traditional teams they want to play. I think it's good for Texas to play a Baylor or Texas Tech, somebody like that. And you go from there. You cramp it up too much and you're going to start getting into this like, hey, we're having losing seasons here. We're not, and whatever. Now, I could also see the positivity of 9, because if you're going to go 1 through 16 and just because they're doing away with divisions, that's another question in the chat box. Divisions are gone. They're off the table. So 1 through 16, and also pods are off the table. 1 through 16, your schedule's your schedule, and there'll be tiebreakers, and the top 2 teams in the league go to Atlanta. I think in a 9-game conference schedule, Jamie, you're going to have less tiebreakers because it's an unbalanced number.
Right.
And you'll have teams playing more away games versus home games. You don't really have that. Oh, well, we all finished 4-4. So pick one out of a hat.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to come down to that. So, so I go back and forth. I see positives on both.
Do you have a hunch of where they're leaning? Any intel?
See, I thought for a while that 9 was done. I was like, there's no way. But reading some very good reporting by Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated today and kind of asking around, 8's had the momentum for a while. And it's probably going to come down to is ESPN going to, and Disney, are they going to be willing to pony up more money on the TV deal for every team in the league to play 9? Now what's kind of cool about the 8 is this. Sure, with the 9, you still have some semblance of, we play these guys every year. With the 8, you play one team every year. The next year, the schedule flips completely. So you have all this, you have variety. And that kind of, I think, leads to a little bit more of unpredictability with season to season, because you've got more than half of your games that flip up on you every year. So you may be a year away from having a breakthrough year. You're building your program, whatever, and you play a bunch of teams that have a lot of seniors, right? And say you go 2-5 against them. Well, then everybody's going to think, well, the next year you'll turn the tables. Well, no, you may not, because the other 7 teams that are coming on may be in the same boat you are and return a lot of guys. So if it's going to come down to the luck of the draw by and large anyway, with regards to the scheduling, if they're going to do this, and I'm not a fan of the top 2 out of 16. I think it's ridiculous. I understand why. They're trying to get the best TV matchup for the championship game possible. But I would get even more creative and go with like semifinals and pods and things like that. I would do it to where, okay, top 4 weekend after Thanksgiving, you move all the in-state rivalry games up. Top 4, you're playing in the semis weekend before Thanksgiving, and the chance to advance to Atlanta. And then everybody else, we're going to line you up. 5 is going to play 6, 7 is going to play 8, 8 is going to play 9. That way you all get your same number of games in, and those bottom games will matter in terms of the college football playoff, at least some of them. Some will matter with bowl eligibility, whatever. The Big Ten was going to do something similar during the pandemic. And then you're deciding it on the field and not always with a tiebreaker or, in theory, the luck of the draw if these 7 teams that rotate on are not as strong as the 7 that rotated off. And so those are my thoughts there.
That brings me to my next point. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a fan of more conference games, but I don't want to see it at the expense of losing big non-conference opponents. But Phil mentioned something earlier, and I want to touch on that. I know we'll hit a timeout, but when we return, the future of a lot of these in-state FCS, or you could maybe group of 5 it if you wanted to, but those games, their future is in great jeopardy right now, and there's a lot that goes into that conversation. The most important conversation those schools are having behind the scenes are, where are we going to get our money from if teams like South Carolina, Clemson, and others can't pay? So we'll certainly hit on that again. Anthony Wright is coming up in hour number 2 on our program, the former quarterback at Carolina. Going to have just a fascinating conversation with him. We're 1 week out from baseball. Continue to pump your questions into the Nana's Porch chat box, and more than likely JC will answer them because Phil and I don't have the answers. But hang tight for those. We'll be right back.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Easy. He's got a tiger by the tail, he has.
He better hang on too.
People have spoken.
Nana's Porch was voted the third best food truck or trailer by the Charlotte newspaper Public Poll. Also, their pimento cheese took third in a contest exclusively for products made in the state of North Carolina. I will let Noah Hall tell you about the rest. Nana's Porch, Southern cuisine with an uptown twist.
We're well into the new year, and the days of being back in the pool and boat are quickly approaching. Many of us don't have the time to hit the gym, but Charleston Fitness Equipment can change that for you. Outfit your home with a treadmill, elliptical, or my favorite, a home rower that allows you to row with the pros all over the world. They have free weights, home gyms, flooring, and much more that makes keeping or getting in shape much more convenient. Located in Mount Pleasant, visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com for more. Get in shape like our Gamecocks. Charleston Fitness Equipment, proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks.
Gamecock Nation, do you need a place to stay for the big game? Many hotel booking engines keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you support Inside the Gamecocks, still earn your hotel loyalty points, and you receive an email with direct confirmation from the hotel. Whether you are visiting Columbia to cheer on Carolina or hitting the road to follow the team, get in the stands with Fan Plans.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it, let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
This is Coach O. Now back to the show. Go Tigers in the soul.
Back, welcome into Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. It's presented to you by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John and his team a call to discuss an enclosure for your porch or patio before summer hits. That way you don't have to deal with the bugs while you're outside enjoying your cold lattes. And, of course, first hour of the show is brought to you by Cindy Searfoss and the Coldwell Banker Kane Realty team here in the Upstate. Give Cindy a call, 864-414-5271. She'll be happy to help you with all of your residential real estate needs. And, I think, the way the playoff is set up with the 12 teams, the proposed 12 teams, and considering what we just watched for the national championship this year, how realistic is it that, say, a Tulane gets beyond the first round?
Well,
consistently.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
so that's an interesting question. I always choose to answer it differently from other people. All right. So most people, they think in the here and now when you ask these questions, because you see it every single year. Whether, if there's every year, there's no way you can go more than 4 teams in the playoff because there's not even 8 teams good enough to be in the playoff, which, number one, we actually have no evidence that is true because we've never had 8 teams in the playoff. I could have certainly made the argument this year that Alabama playing in the national championship would have been better than the one we watched. But what I'll say, though, is this. When they expanded the field in baseball and basketball, it allowed other teams to win national championships. It's not going to happen overnight. All right. But in order for programs to build themselves into legitimate contenders, they've got to have an opportunity to get in there. So hypothetically speaking, let's just talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks because that's the show that we're talking about or that we're on. All right. If it's a 4-team playoff and Carolina never cracks the 4-team playoff over the next 5 years, 10 years, then they're never – then they've never made the playoffs. If it's a 12-team playoff and over the next 10 years, South Carolina gets in there 4 times, that's a program builder. All right, you've now been in the playoffs for 4 years. Your program has more support. It has more money. It has more eyeballs. It recruits better. All those type things. Kids want to go play for winning programs, right? So if you have the opportunity to get into the playoff, you're South Carolina, you're Mississippi State, you're an NC State teams that are, blue-collar programs that really never get in there, but they have good years, just not great years. But they do pop a 10-2, and then they sneak in as a 9 seed or something like that. And then they get back in a couple of years. Now all of a sudden you've got banners in your ballpark that say college football playoff, college football playoff, college football playoff. You all of a sudden have built a tradition here, right? And so that creates a larger pool of programs where people are. I listen to this all the time, and even some of the experts in college football totally miss the point. Apples, oranges. It's not going to change overnight. You can't argue the future from the past. You have to argue the future for the future. If you want to change the future, then you change the future. But you don't take the past and plug it into the future and say, well, that's just how it's going to be, because things will change when you change the format and the platform.
I agree, and I think the 12-team model is the most inclusive. As far as will a Cincinnati or Tulane or Georgia Southern or App State or anybody like that ever get past the first round, and eventually we had it was a Maryland, Baltimore County, Dave Odom's son beat Virginia, and then say as a 16-1, we've had plenty of 15-2 upsets. It's football. Things can happen. I think the fact that most of these higher seeded teams in the first round at least are going to have home games is going to be pretty interesting. I think on a neutral field, there'd be a better chance. But, so I'm kind of in the middle, but I agree with you. I think this gives more access. And, it would be a real shame, guys, a real shame. And what I think would have been non-inclusive would have been to stick with 4 and then do away with divisions. Because when you look at the division format, and the division format is flawed because you rarely get the best 2 teams in the league in most instances. Sometimes you do, and it's a big deal, like Bama and Georgia. Teams are on a collision course or whatever. Sometimes you don't, especially in leagues that aren't the SEC, because, the Big Ten and all their genius, they are a bunch of geniuses. Just ask them. They put all their good teams in one division. Hey guys, give me a beef and a Polish, and we're going to make these divisions.
Is that going to change though when Southern Cal and UCLA click in?
They're talking about keeping their divisions but reworking them, because you've got Michigan, you've got Ohio State. Are they going to bring back
the legends and the leaders?
That's what I'd do. I mean, that wasn't all that bad, compared to. I mean, everybody in the Big Ten East is completely screwed. Let's just put everybody in the East. That way, Wisconsin and Illinois. Shut up.
No, we're playing the leaders this weekend. You're playing the what?
The legends. Oh. But I mean, so and I get it. You got this huge regular season game at Michigan, Ohio State. And the last thing you want to do is have them tank the regular season game at the end. And that's the one interesting thing about this whole let's do one big deal. And this is probably why the Big Ten will keep divisions and just rework them. What if Alabama and Auburn are both undefeated, which has happened before, or one has one loss, and they're a lock to play in Atlanta the next week, and the winner's going to the playoff. Let's just say we're undefeated. If you lose the Iron Bowl and go win the SEC championship, you're probably going to be a higher seed than the team that won the Iron Bowl. I mean, how do you keep? Because one of the great things about college football is the regular season, and I don't buy that the regular season and the bowls and all this are just going to die off. But it does kind of, bring up the question about your end game as a team. If your end game as a team is to win the national championship, and most everybody's is. Are you going to be more reluctant if you got some injuries and you got some guys that are not necessarily injured but a little banged up to rest them and not worry about that Iron Bowl game because you're going to turn around and play them the next week anyway? Because most of these big time rivalry games are played at the end of the year. Now, what I think could end up happening, especially with the in-conference rivalries, is to avoid that because you're probably never going to avoid a situation where you don't double up and have have 2 teams play one weekend and then turn around and play the next. That's probably going to happen at some point just because of how it is, how they're going to do it. But I don't think you want it to be the Iron Bowl or the big game or UCLA, Southern Cal or whatever. So what I see happening is maybe some of these in-conference traditional rivalry games, i.e. the Iron Bowl, Michigan, Ohio State, moving to early, either like third Saturday in October, mid-season, or maybe even as the opening game of the season. which I think would be a little bit weird because it takes that Thanksgiving rivalry tradition away. But I think you'd rather do that and preserve the game as opposed to having one version of the game where everybody kind of just rests up and gets ready for the next week.
What do y'all think about I don't want to – this is going to come off bad. I don't want it to because I understand it, obviously. But there's this foregone conclusion, and I've seen it multiple times already. Oh, this benefits Clemson. This benefits Clemson. This benefits Clemson. This benefits Notre Dame. This benefits
all now over the chat box. Yeah,
right now. Yeah, things change. Dabo Swinney, he's not going to be there at some point in time. Bear Bryant, he's not still at Alabama. Saban's not going to always be at Alabama. Eric Parsegian, he moved on. Coach Carroll moved on. These things happen. I would say this. I'm more worried about South Carolina. I don't care what happens with Clemson. If they get in, I'd love to see them in the playoffs. If we get in and Clemson's in, that would be awesome. I'm not saying if they get in, I'd love to see them in the playoffs. Like, oh, great. Hey, guys, Clemson's in there again. I'm saying if you're South Carolina and you drew Clemson in the playoffs, that would be just outstanding. Carolina's got a history of beating their ass in the postseason in other sports. Why not make it the situation in football, right? I don't care about them. If they get in there, they get in. I mean, nothing's going to be perfect. I know everybody in this fan base, for whatever reason, concerns themselves with what's going on at Clemson, but Shane Beamer ain't concerned about that. Well, what's the best thing for South Carolina to get in? And I think that's where I'm going to be much more focused than them or Notre Dame or anybody else.
Yeah, I think the thing is,
I'm not trying to be a jerk, by the way.
No. With the format, with the 12 team as it is, Clemson would have been a top 4 seed with a bye this year. And the reason is really 4 of your top 5 teams came from 2 conferences in Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. As a Clemson sitting right there. But it's not the top 4 teams that get the bye. It's the top 4 conference champions. So, everybody else has to play a first round game. So Clemson would have been a top 4 conference champion, even though they were 8th in the country. Is
that the snag, guys? Is that the thing because that's held me up for a while too. I'm not.
Yeah.
The top 4 teams need the bye, not the top 4 conference champions.
Yeah, I don't like that setup at all. No, because then you get a 2-loss Clemson. I mean, this year would have been a prime example for it. Or, even worse, you could be looking at, a 2 or plus loss team from some other conference getting a bye, and
they did it for 2. They did it for 2 reasons. Number one, you do the top 4 conference champs. That keeps you from having a 3 or 4 loss. And most of these conferences are doing away with divisions anyway. Mm-hmm. But, in certain scenarios, you'll have a 6-5 Pitt team win the Coastal. What if they pull a massive upset? Or are they going to be getting a bye? Or no, they probably aren't even going to get in the playoff under this one because only the top 6 conference champions are guaranteed to get in. In theory, a 7-6 conference champion from a Power 5 would fall below probably 2 group of 5 conference champs, and so they wouldn't get in. So it's designed to keep the top 12 in. But I'm with you. It's like, why would a team that's because Clemson's probably even behind like a Tennessee or something with the way their season went. Why did they deserve a bye? And Tennessee and Alabama and everybody else has to play in the first round when the other clearly better Ohio State because they didn't want to But it also is because of this. I think it's because of Notre Dame. Notre Dame doesn't have to play in a championship game. Ergo, right? The Irish, they don't get that. They don't get 2 byes. You see what I'm saying? Because you're talking about every other league and every other league champ, most of them having to play in a championship game. So that's 13 games before they get to the playoff. Notre Dame, they can never get that bye to where they're rested up, for 2 weeks and all that good stuff. Because they're always going to be relegated to the first round. Makes a little cattywampus. What if Notre Dame's number 1 in the country? It's going to be weird.
Well, but, there's some interesting things going to be coming down the pike with Notre Dame too, right? Because Southern Cal's headed to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot for Notre Dame that's going to be changing. I'll be anxious to see whether one day their hand is forced into a league or not. I mean, they say that will never happen, but I don't know that I buy that.
Yeah, I think too. I would like to see them join a league, but it looks like this cattywampus playoff idea is both going to punish them and also reward them. And it also gives them a home football game, most likely, as long as they're a higher seed, in the playoffs. And that's another weird thing too. You're given buys, but the way it's formatted now, guys, is campus sites for first round. Then it goes to bowls, and then other bowls. So these teams that get the bye, they're not going to get a home playoff game. And that's a little strange to me. It's a little strange to me. So.
Hour one is in the books. 20 minutes. Quarterback Anthony Wright will join us on Inside the Gamecocks, presented by Express Sunrooms. He'll be from his own Sinorama studio, hopefully. And we will get into a little bit of the Super Bowl. This discussion certainly is not over. More of that to come. The women have a major matchup this weekend, guys. We haven't touched on it yet. They did take care of business on the plains of Auburn last night, and now they'll welcome number 3 LSU to town on Sunday. So it's a jam-packed final hour. Don't go anywhere. Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We'll be right back. Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on two wheels. The home of Oventon, Velotric, Magnum Bikes, and more, they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. Their electric bikes are equipped with 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle, so you can ride longer, handle the heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available for all ages and sizes. Visit electricbikescharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant if you're in the Low Country. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show. The real estate market has changed dramatically from just a year ago. Rates, supply, demand, all of your traditional factors are in a transition phase. That's why if you or someone you know are considering making a move in the Low Country, contact me, JB, at Coast to Coast Realty. I work with an outstanding support cast of attorneys, lenders, inspectors, insurance agents, and more, all of whom are valuable in helping find a way for you to comfortably make your real estate decision. That's right, call me, JB, your Low Country real estate broadcaster. Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter at Mayor Taylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer.
You're tuned into Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Sideline and picked off. Brad Edwards will get a convoy. Touchdown, South Carolina.
You ain't just a bird. You're top of the coop, star of the show. You're a rooster who was born to crow. Well, I bet you wonder when you win or lost a step or two. Fell down the pecking order, couldn't find.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. We are presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. Give John Barber a call or shoot him an email, 803-446-4662, or John B. at expresssunrooms.com to talk about how they can get some more sunshine into your life this summer. You're just sitting here looking at the ladies' basketball score, 83-48.
Phil, the league this year's down. The SEC is not really what it's been in recent years, for sure. Carolina is. LSU is pretty darn good. There's no doubt about that. And Tennessee, is having a nice year. But the Southeastern Conference is not holding its own water the way it has over the last few years, certainly. But this weekend will be the premier matchup. The men also will travel to the Sandy and John Black Pavilion in Oxford, Mississippi, and look to snap a forever long losing streak against Ole Miss. Ole Miss isn't any good. Carolina's not either, although they have played well the last couple of games. So we'll see what happens. It's a 1:00 tip, and then their next one is on Valentine's night in Columbia against Vanderbilt. Let me squeeze a couple of these quick things in too, just kind of in the wide world of sports. A couple of major lawsuits going on that involve former stars in the NFL. If you haven't seen or heard about this, Brett Favre has filed a major lawsuit against multiple people, including Pat McAfee and the brother of his favorite all-time target, Sterling Sharp, Shannon Sharp, for defamation. It's going to be a while before this thing gets settled. Let's put it that way. But in addition to filing a lawsuit against Mississippi State Auditor Shad White, obviously Brett Favre is fighting for himself here because he is being accused of collaborating with the state of Mississippi to misappropriate about $77 million in funds to his advantage. So he's going to fight back, and he is basically saying that Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharp have defamed his name publicly across the country. We'll see where that goes. Michael Irvin, this is an interesting story as well, guys. I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, but he was set to be a part of Super Bowl coverage throughout the week on the NFL Network. However, 2 days ago on Wednesday, he was pulled from coverage, and there was a complaint that came in at the Renaissance Hotel in Phoenix about allegations that really aren't public. However, the hotel informed the NFL Network that Michael Irvin had done something inappropriate, and they decided that he was not going to continue on coverage because of whatever they told him he did. So Michael Irvin has decided, not going to let this fly. That's not what happened. He is now suing the Renaissance Hotel and Marriott for $100 million.
$100 million.
$100 million.
Pulled from Super Bowl coverage.
Wow.
I don't know what they were planning to pay him this week. My gut says it wasn't $100 million, but that's the suit he's filed against the Renaissance and its parent company, Marriott. So back to you, JC.
Yeah. Well, Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharp should know better, being, professional broadcasters. And that, you have to use the word allegedly, and that will get you out of almost anything.
I think Pat is just learning some of the ins and outs of national television. I'm going to probably be in the minority. I know it's the popular thing to hate him. I don't. I don't watch his show much. I actually really enjoyed him on College Game Day. But I know how the world works, and when somebody says something negative, it's generally you have to fall in line with that. And, oh, no, you're an idiot. Why would you say that? I actually thought he brought a lot of energy. I wish they would change some other things, but I actually brought a lot of energy, and I really liked how respectful he was to Lee Corso throughout the year, because Lee Corso, although he is really struggling, he deserves respect. There's no doubt about that.
I didn't mind it. I mean, I know why it happened. Obviously, it's going to bring – it's all about eyes on TVs, right? So that's why they did it. He's just not my favorite. But, I get it. I understand. But you're right. He did treat Corso well.
I'm not a Mac. I don't know about McAfee, but anyway, I rarely watch Game Day anyway, so I don't care. And Irvin's is very interesting. I think we live in a world nowadays where a lot of folks toss accusations, and those that are in a position to try to do something about it or to make a statement about it, go ahead and make the statement without investigating. And I think that's BS.
Yeah.
Look, Favre, in my opinion, needs to tread carefully because his legal situation is a little bit more, even though it may or may not be his fault, his legal situation is a little bit different than some wild accusation. There's paperwork, and it's more financial in nature. I don't understand Gamecock Twitter. Okay. We'll go off here for a little bit.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't
cut my mic off so I don't interrupt you. Go ahead.
I shouldn't read it, right? But okay, so the what we call the 1110 Project, I guess that's its unofficial name now. There are people losing their poo about the fact that they may eliminate seats. Let me just explain something to you, including geniuses on Twitter like, it ain't going to be louder if you take seats out. Would you like for me to roll through the smaller stadiums that don't? And I'm not talking, they're not cut into 35. It's going to be like Wake Forest Stadium, people. They're going to add premium seating. There's probably just as many souls in the stadium. They're going to add like actual chairs, and that's going to cut out some, you have to literally be like Starvin' Marvin from South Park to fit in some of these bleacher areas, right? In case you haven't walked around South Carolina lately, we got some people, including myself, that probably need about 2 of those bad boys, right? Okay. They're putting in, it was just rich folk. Calm down and quiet down, okay? None of you know the details of this project, okay? None of you are giving it a shot. You're just, it's like this college, we're going streaking through the gymnasium and going to toilet paper the president's house because we can kind of mentality. It's stupid. And I understand you don't like Ray Tanner. And honest to God, some of the stuff that you don't like Ray Tanner for has nothing to do with his job. It's because you're pissed off and your feelings are hurt because your team lost a game and you're looking for someone to blame. All right. I promise you, this project, whether you like it or not, it's going on without you first and foremost. You can just take your crap and box it up and pull for somebody else, because that's how ridiculous some of this backlash is, number one. Number two, I promise you, when all this stuff happens, you're going to be happy that it did. And they're not just building condos and, taking out East Upper and the blue collar folks and, making them pay $100 a ticket or anything like that. That's not the plan. Okay. There will be condos and hotels and golf courses and retail and things like the Battery. There's also going to be like massive facilities upgrades, massive fan experience upgrades for everyone involved. That transformational stuff for the university. And most importantly, guys, look, you understand, you have to get it done one way or the other. Everybody wants to win, right? It takes money to win. South Carolina is in the richest conference in the country. And yeah, they're getting all this TV money, and I see that as an excuse a lot. People, well, don't you take the NIL money or TV money and give it to NIL, whatever, because it's been like pulling teeth getting that to happen. But you know what? Yeah, everybody else gets the TV money too. And guess what? They have larger fan bases because their states are larger, and they don't have 30% of their fan base within their state pulling for somebody else. Or they're like Alabama and people will just give blood and do whatever they have to do, get their power cut off, whatever, to do it, to support Alabama. But they've all got a lot more resources in South Carolina. So how do you do it? You don't have oil. You don't have Yellowwood like Auburn. You're not located in a bigger state like Georgia or Tennessee where you've just got twice as many fans, Texas, Oklahoma, whatever. This is a way to do it, and it doesn't cost you guys anything, right? There's no plan for tickets to go up based on this. If anything, they'll go down, right? It'll be more affordable because they're not going to have to jack up prices. This project is not something where University of South Carolina says, all right, let's take this $100 million we've raised and go borrow a crap ton, because this is a multi-billion-dollar project, right, with a B. They're not saying, let's take this money we've raised and put a down payment on it, finance it for 75 years and jack ticket prices up and fleece everybody. It's not. Just wait, give it a chance. As far as eliminating seats go, that is way more of a pride thing than anything else. I understand, people were a little upset because it went from 80 to 77. If it goes from 77 to 72, who cares? It was 72 for years and one of the loudest places in America. Didn't lose any home field advantage. And I'll tell you right now, the tickets sold, and I don't care what you say and what you've seen at the games. I don't care, because I have information on this. The tickets sold do not equal the people that come through the turnstiles. In most games, you would be very surprised at the discrepancy in those numbers. So what you want to do is fill it up. And as far as the loudness goes, this whole thing is going to be designed to make Williams-Brice even louder. You know, people are, well, you take people out, boy. And that does sound like common sense, right? But it's not science. The science says it. No, I mean, Husky Stadium in Seattle probably seats, 30,000 less than South Carolina. It's louder than South Carolina. War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock, Arkansas, louder than South Carolina. Its fans are right down on top of you. Colonial Life Arena, not as loud as Carolina Coliseum. Is Neyland Stadium as loud as Williams-Brice? It gets loud when they get going, but it's not because they got 20,000 more people. The Big House never gets loud. It's one of the largest stadiums in the country. Neither does Rose Bowl. So think about that. I'm just a little taken, and I know it's not you guys in the chat box, most of you. It's the people on Twitter, which, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of getting down on the whole thing, not just Gamecock Twitter, which every day I go and look for it. You know, look through it. It depresses me just because of the sheer these people that believe they have a voice, you know, and if they knew more, they just tweet all day and don't know what the hell they're talking about. That bothers me, and it stems from the Spurs Up show because Chris tweets out, you know, the highlights or whatever, and people that don't and have never even listened to me or read a thing I've said, which is in and of itself means they're not interested in learning much about what's really going on. They just want to bitch on Twitter. Okay. You know, and I'm not saying I know it all. I mean, go listen to Chris Clark or Wes Mitchell, whoever you want to, Tony. I don't care if it's me or not. Listen to JB and Phil. But look, the mere fact you don't even have any idea who I am. Who is this guy? I mean, get your Gamecock avatar out of your Twitter account because you don't know what's good for the program at all. You know, and I promise you, I will be right there fighting the power. Going streaking to the president's house, TPing the dang to the KA house or whatever, and fighting the power. If I thought for 1 minute, the University of South Carolina was trying to box out, fleece, whatever you want to call it, the legions of you hardworking people who aren't rich, who sacrifice to come to Williams-Brice Stadium every Saturday, who's made it a family affair every single weekend of your lives for years and years and years. Your grandpa and grandpappy and everybody else comes. If I thought for a minute you guys were being negatively affected, I'd be right there with it. God's getting me because I went off like that. But, right, you know.
Passion.
That was actually funny. And somebody's probably going to clip that up. Look at this clown.
Yeah, look. You see, look.
There's your good clown, coughing clown. But it's like the Taylor Swift song. This is why we can't have nice things. This is why, because every time something like this happens, you have all this backlash from people, and it's amplified now because of social media. That doesn't mean a thing. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're just assuming that, you know, it's all for rich folks. Just give it a chance, guys. That's all I'm asking. And tell your friends that don't know who I am. They probably should listen to the show, and they'd laugh and have a good time.
And remind them that they can be members of the Big Spurs. They're 75% off right now. It'd be a good time to get a little plug in for your website. Right. Most of those people, by the way, don't even go to games. So, you know, I've interacted with those as well. I've already had somebody that I've seen. Golly, man, I said, well, when's the last time you've been to a game? What the hell do you care? So,
I mean, yeah, and I think too, once the details come out with regards to, by the way, Fan Fest for baseball is canceled because of rain Saturday. I do think that once the details come out and people kind of realize, like, about the cost versus reward, anybody with a brain is going to get behind it. I just think it's unfortunate people are jumping to conclusions and, you know, making little snarky comments about Ray and Chance and the university in general when they don't really have a clue, and then stirring other people up that aren't smart enough to kind of, you know, their buddies. Look at the rabbits, you know, and telling them, hey, they're going to fleece you and take your seats away. What, really? Look at the rabbits. Look at the rabbits.
Yeah.
All right. We got to get a break.
12:18 on this Friday afternoon. The rain is coming, at least where I am. But guess what? Speaking of what's coming, Anthony Wright. If you are in the East Upper or the West Upper or the south end zone or the north end zone back in the 90s, you saw A1 play the game. And we are absolutely thrilled to have him. We're going to hit a quick timeout, and the former Gamecock quarterback will join us right here on Inside the Gamecocks, this show. Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on two wheels. The home of Oventon, Velotric, Magnum Bikes, and more, they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. Their electric bikes are equipped with 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle, so you can ride longer, handle the heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available for all ages and sizes. Visit electricbikescharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant if you're in the Low Country. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show. The real estate market has changed dramatically from just a year ago. Rates, supply, demand, all of your traditional factors are in a transition phase. That's why if you or someone you know are considering making a move in the Low Country, contact me, JB, at Coast to Coast Realty. I work with an outstanding support cast of attorneys, lenders, inspectors, insurance agents, and more, all of whom are valuable in helping find a way for you to comfortably make your real estate decision. That's right, call me, JB, your Low Country real estate broadcaster. Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half-hour, hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter at Mayor Taylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer.
You're tuned into Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Sideline and picked off. Brad Edwards will get a convoy. Touchdown, South Carolina.
Chicken's got serrations, spurs, spurs, spurs. You ain't just a bird, bird, bird. You're top of the coop, star of the show. You're a rooster who was born to crow. Well, I bet you wonder when you win or lost a step or two.
Most couldn't throw it like him. A1 is what they called him. We can still call him that as long as he'll let us. Anthony Wright was a quarterback at South Carolina and all over the NFL. And as a matter of fact, JC, you already mentioned this earlier today. He's the last quarterback from South Carolina to really make it in the NFL. No offense to Connor, who certainly had a cup of tea, but this was more like a jug of it. Anthony Wright, kind enough to join us at 12:20 on this beautiful Friday afternoon. And Anthony, I mentioned earlier to JC, and we have a lot to talk to you about. I hope you can stay here for 2 hours because we're going to keep you that long. I mentioned to JC, I've been doing this for 10 years. Phil's been in it for a while. JC's been in it for 25 years. And every once in a while, you talk to somebody that you all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get to talk to this guy. Being a kid when you were in Williams-Brice Stadium, that is one of those moments personally. So thanks for being a Gamecock and thanks for joining us. Welcome. What's up, man?
Ain't much to it, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Well,
happy to.
I mean, it's Super Bowl week. Yeah. So we're gonna ask you about your new QB venture. JC wants to ask you about your son. He's going to do everything he can to get him into a Gamecock uniform. We want to talk to you all about your career, but like, you have a Super Bowl. Are you wearing your Super Bowl ring? Oh, did we lose his audio?
Oh,
lost audio. Here we go.
Still can't hear him.
No.
Let me take these off.
There,
there you go.
I have the same issue with mine. It's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes,
we hear you.
yes, sir.
So,
Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I had to take
yeah, it's no problem, man. That's the thing. My headset did that the other day when I was on another show.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
the mic on the headset starts playing. It's all this Bluetooth stuff, man. So
now back.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right. Mm-hmm.
So, what is Super Bowl week like, Anthony? I mean, you see all the media stuff. Do y'all actually, practice or talk about the game? What happens during this week leading up to it?
Well, when we went, we did have practice, and then we had our media obligations. We didn't do much outside of that. So basically, we just did practice, and then we did our media obligations, and then we had our basic. We had to go to the caf to eat, and then we had curfew. So not like we had an opportunity to get out and enjoy the festivities of things that was going on in the city. My family did, though. My family really enjoyed it, and they told me about it. But as a player, you don't get to do that.
It's more of a business trip, right?
Yeah.
Well, so that was a heck of a Super Bowl. Had to be sort of a great feeling to go out there and win it. And I know you played for 5 different teams. I remember when you started for the Dallas Cowboys. So being the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, that particular franchise, I would think that would be a little bit more pressure filled than even being a starting quarterback in college in the SEC at South Carolina. What can you say about surviving that and playing pretty well for that particular franchise and that fan base? Because there's just so much attention on the Cowboys.
Really, it was a dream come true, to be honest with you. Because I grew up as a Cowboys fan. Being here from North Carolina, really like a Cowboys fan, or you was a Redskins fan. So I was a Cowboys fan coming up. So it was kind of surreal to have an opportunity to play for them. But at the same time, when you've been doing this for so long, it was kind of like second nature to me. I didn't really see it as too big of a deal at the time. I was just playing football. And so I was given an opportunity by Jerry Jones and his family to come in and play. And so I tried to make the best of my opportunity when it was given to me.
Did you have a favorite target ever in your whole career?
I was just talking with somebody about this yesterday. The most underappreciated receiver that I ever played with was Derek Mason.
Wow.
Derek Mason was probably the most underappreciated receiver that I've ever played with. As far as targets, I had Todd Heap. I played with Plaxico Burress. I played with Ocho Cinco, and I played with Hoosman. I think every guy had their own niche. So probably the 2 toughest receivers that I played with were Hoosman and Hines Ward. Hines were probably the 2 toughest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hines Ward, of course, played some quarterback too. Hines Ward played some quarterback in college. Going back to college, that day in Knoxville when you got hurt, I remember that team in the 1997, and I think that year Peyton was on that Tennessee team. You guys had the defense and played the defensive game, in my opinion, to pull that upset. And then just unfortunately you went out. It's 22-7, I think was the final. And then the season kind of unraveled from there. Do you ever think back to that and think what if about the 97 Gamecocks? Because that was a good football team. It just when you went out, it just that was kind of the straw that stirred the drink, so to speak, and that was that.
Yeah, I know. I always say that the 97 season was my best collegiate year. if you really delve into it, in '97, me and Peyton led every statistical category in the SEC. Pass completion, touchdown. We was 1 and 2 in every category. So it was he and I that was battling that year. And, going into that game, I felt good about our chance of winning. And like you said, it was unfortunate for me to get hurt the way I did because we were, like you said, we were a good team. I think we were 5-3 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We were 5-3 at the time. We had 3 games to go. Obviously, it was the Orange Crush month, but we had 3 games to go to try to get into a bowl game, and went out there, got hurt, and it was very disappointing. I was very disappointed. We ended up losing our next 3 games and not making it to a bowl game, and so that's kind of how that went. But I felt very good about the '97 season.
Yeah, and of course, '96 you had Deuce Staley and Troy Hambrick, and then '97 you had Troy. So you had a pretty good running game, but I always thought the passing game was pretty on time back then too with both those teams. But '97, what is it? Kentucky. You played the air raid, Hal Mummy's air raid, and they came to town. I was at that game, Williams-Brice. They got up 14-0, and you led them back and won 38-24 against a really good Kentucky team that year. Yep. So that was a nice win. Nice win.
Who was Kentucky? Was that Couch?
Yeah,
Jim Couch. Yeah.
I mean, you think about that era of QBs that you played with, man. I mean, and honestly, when it came to physical attributes, you were better than all of them, weren't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's like I told you, man. If you look at the stats, man, it was me and Peyton. He was 1 and I was 2, and I was 1 and he was 2, and so we was going back and forth the entire season. And like I said, when we finally played against each other, I ended up getting hurt. But I think that it was unfortunate because we ended up getting rid of Coach Reeves after that year. Coach Reeves, God rest his soul. We got rid of him at the end of that year and brought in Chuck Reedy. And Chuck Reedy came in with this high school offense for my senior year and didn't pan out. So,
yeah, I remember you guys switched up at Ole Miss that year. You went from I thought that was a disaster of a hire. I'll just be honest. I thought it was one of the worst mistakes I've ever seen.
Oh, it definitely was.
No offense to him or anything, but
from your perspective as a quarterback, walk us through that transition. I mean, we're obviously we don't want to throw people under the bus or anything like that, but what did you go through there?
It was hard, man. It was tough. He came in with a different philosophy. I think he had coached at Clemson before. I think he had coached at Baylor. Just got fired from Baylor or something like that. And he came in with the Clemson offense from 1980s, and we were trying to run the ball. And I'll tell you this story. This pretty much sums up the whole season. We were playing Ole Miss, and I think at the time we were like 1 and 3 or something like that. And we went back to the Florida State offense. We had 4 wides. We were throwing the ball up and down the field, moving the ball up and down the field. And I remember this one particular play. We was on the 1-yard line coming out, right? So we're we backed up on the 1-yard line, and we got in triple I. And we handed the ball off to the last guy. And guess what happened? He got safety. So we ended up losing that game, mind you, by 2 points.
30-28. Yeah, I actually saw your last game at Death Valley against Clemson, 28-19. I actually went to that one. That was a pretty easy ticket, but I remember you. I don't know if this was your last touchdown as a Gamecock or not, but I remember you scored first drive on a bootleg run in that one, and went up 7-0. The game just didn't work out. So did you ever think after you left South Carolina, walk us through kind of how you obviously you went undrafted free agent, got yourself after a tough finish to your college career, really tough, and got yourself ready to be a professional quarterback. Do you think maybe some of that adversity made you able better to deal with the pressure and the professionalism and discipline and all that good stuff that it takes to be a pro quarterback?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, once again, I got to give my good credit to Coach Reeves. You know, he really taught me how to be a quarterback. And so after that last game against Clemson, we were 1-10, and I didn't know which direction my career was about to go, and I didn't know if I was about to have a regular job. So I got invited to the combine. And I went to the combine and did really well. I did so well. Now, mind you, the year that I came out, we had it's probably one of the most loaded quarterback years probably in history of the draft. We had Culpepper, we had Donovan McNabb, we had Kelly Smith. I think we had like Cade McBrown. We had Tim Powell. We had a bunch of guys, right? And so I go to the combine and I do well at the combine, but I end up failing my physicals. All the doctors failed me because of my knee.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some teams that was going to draft me late first round, second round, based off my performance at the combine. But like I said, they failed me on my physical, and I ended up going undrafted free agent. And kind of my career kind of went like I was like I said, I was fighting, scratching and clawing in the NFL, but I lasted and I made it. So
that's long time, longer than life. You keep up with South Carolina football now with Shane Beamer and what they're doing?
Yes, I do. Matter of fact, I go to all their camps. I take my son to their camps. They run really good camps. I went to their camp, and I went to a couple other camps. And the one thing that I'll say about the South Carolina camp is it was very competitive. The guys get into it and they compete, and so it's probably one of the better camps that I've been to when it comes to competition. We also took my son to, like I said, a Clemson camp, and it's nowhere as competitive as Carolina camp. Our camp is way more competitive than the Clemson camp.
Anthony, I are you short on time, or can you hang around with us for a little bit, or you have somewhere to be?
Yeah.
So we've got a break that's about to come up here in a couple of minutes, anyways, and I want to kind of stretch that conversation about camp, your son, Coach Beamer, how much this place has changed since you've been here, and a couple of other things that we certainly have to get to with you. But so, Phil, why don't we go ahead and hit this break? We'll get this out of the way, and then we'll come back and we'll just end up wrapping this thing up with A1, who, by the way, soon will be launching the A1 Quarterback Academy, which if you want to be a quarterback or you know somebody that does, it might be a pretty good place to start. So we're certainly going to get into that. So hang tight. Former quarterback Anthony Wright will continue on with us here on Inside the Gamecocks when we return.
I want you to take me to Disney World.
Horror.
Calm down. JC is here. As y'all know, folks, the family and I have visited Disney World many times, but it can be overwhelming, especially if it's your first time going to the most magical place on earth. I highly recommend wherethisroadleads.com and my friend Cherie, a certified Disney vacation planner. That's right. The mouse has given her permission to book your family vacation hassle-free. You don't know where to go, don't know where to stay, don't know where to eat, don't know what to do. It can be overwhelming. So get on wherethisroadleads.com and schedule your free consultation right now. She can help you out. The prices are very reasonable. You don't pay any extra fees. In fact, she's much more reasonable maybe than booking it straight through Disney. So for your next Disney vacation, or, more likely your first, so you don't panic, go to wherethisroadleads.com and talk to Cherie, certified Disney vacation planner, a partner of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on two wheels. The home of Aventon, Velotric, Magnum Bikes, and more, they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. Their electric bikes are equipped with 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle, so you can ride longer, handle the heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available for all ages and sizes. Visit electricbikescharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant if you're in the Low Country. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Hey, Mo Cowboy here from the Carolina Gamecocks. You're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. Yep, I got to get everybody turned back on here after that crazy little break that we take.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
If you don't mind.
No, I know, right? Yeah, there we are. Hey, everybody, welcome back.
Hey,
too many buttons to click on that last one, man.
we owe A1 a major apology. He had to sit through JC's clown commercial for Disney World, and so we're terribly sorry about that.
It's a bit more performance art than it is promo, Anthony.
hey, Anthony. I this is I as good of a career as you had. You're what are you, 46 years old? I mean, yes. you Brady just retired. What are you doing?
I'm playing football.
It's crazy. How do you were a quarterback in the league for what, 10 years?
Yes.
How do you play in the NFL until you're 45 years old?
You got to have good protection.
Yeah, right.
Good, no doubt.
Yeah, tell him it doesn't matter because, he lost to y'all anyway. in the game that mattered.
You beat him. Yep.
Spoiled that perfect season.
So it's about your son. I just watched some film, Charlotte Country Day, class of 2025 quarterback, correct? Khalil.
Yes.
He throws a ball. It honestly looks like you throwing the ball. That same kind of arm delivery, smooth release, all that good stuff. So tell us how he's performing and any schools looking at him. Is he planning to camp some places this summer and all that? Let's because I definitely think he's on the radar. Based on the film I watched and some of the talk out there. Just kind of talk about his game a little bit.
Well, he's he's coming along really, really well. My thing was I wanted to make sure I was patient with him. I didn't want to rush him. So I've been working with him for a very long time. He probably gets tired of me talking about football with him, but he doesn't seem like it. But we could be sitting here watching the game, and I may stop the television live game and rewind it and talk about it, right? And talk about what you should be reading, seeing the safeties, seeing the rotation of the safeties, understanding the protections, understanding how to change the protections, understanding the run game. So we get very intricate in the details of the game. But he's coming along really well, man. I'm proud about where he is. He has very good work ethic. He looks good right now. He's 6'1", about 185 pounds. Wow. The other day, I tell him he's repping out 200 pounds for about eight reps.
Ooh, that's strong.
Yeah, so he looks good physically. He's 16. So I've been working with him for a long time. He looks really good. There's some teams that has some interest in him. NC State came by, took a look at him a couple weeks ago. Elon came by, took a look at him. East Carolina came by, took a look at him. He been followed on Twitter by Tennessee. Tennessee has some interest. So there's a few teams that has some interest, but we're not really right now focused on just continue to improve, to learn. There's so much to learn in this position. There's so much experience that he has to go through in order to be good. And so I just want him to continue to learn, continue to get the experience, continue to listen to what I say. The funny thing about it is, as a dad, sometimes you got to get that same word coming from somebody else, right? So
yeah.
Sometimes I get someone else. Matter of fact, we're going to go to Alabama this summer and work out with a guy down there. He's a guy that I met at the Manning camp. We did the Manning camp last year in Louisiana, and it was hot.
Oh yeah, Louisiana the summer, boy.
Well, I tell you what, it is so neat to hear a dad who actually, he knows how to teach quarterbacks more than likely because he was a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And you have these other dads out
You
there,
have some guy
and all types of sports that feel like they know everything in the world, right?
Yeah, you got to watch those.
Then you
guys.
have one like this who actually understands it. But it's interesting because it flows into the new conversation of football. How will you, or have you even thought about how you will handle things like NIL and the transfer portal with your son?
Honestly, I haven't gotten into much depth with it. I kind of know about what's going on. I obviously I watch news and I read articles about it. So I know a little bit about it. But right now, our focus is I want him to be good. That's the focus. The focus right now is that I want you to be good enough to where any field you step on, you could be the best guy on the field. And we'll let those other things, the NIL, the transfer portal, we'll let those things work themselves out.
Yeah.
But you got to step on the field to impress the coach that you're playing for. And that's kind of our main goal right now. And like I said, we'll deal with the other things when they come.
You're starting some quarterback training, or you have been doing some quarterback training, not just with your son, but in the Charlotte area.
Yes.
I think that's tremendous. To Jamie's point earlier, I covered recruiting on a national level for about until about 7 years ago, for about 15 years, and they're just some folks, a lot of folks that have a wealth of knowledge that really get the best out of their quarterbacks, and there's some that don't. I don't know why they're in it, because they don't have the experience to do it, right? You definitely seem, with all your experience and all that, you definitely know your stuff. How is that going? What caused you to kind of get into that and share and with other people and give back to others and all that good stuff at this stage? Because it sounds like something that everybody in that area that wants to play quarterback really regionally could take advantage of. There just aren't too many people out there that were starters in the SEC, potential second-round draft picks, and spent 10 years in the league. And like you said, all the rotation of the safety, pause of the tape, all that good stuff. Not a lot of coaches do. A lot of 7-on-7 these days, So can you speak to that and kind of what you have planned and what you're up to in terms of teaching the quarterback community at large?
Well, it's a passion of mine. That's what it is. It's a passion, and the reason why it's a passion is because when I came out of high school, I didn't know a lot. So I remember coming out of high school and playing the Shrine Bowl, and I started, but I didn't play well, and I didn't understand why I didn't play well. And then I played in the first All-American Bowl that was in Pennsylvania. It's now like the Army All-American Bowl, I think now.
Yeah.
I played in the All-American Bowl in Pennsylvania, and I started in that game as well, and I didn't play well. And I got to a point where before I came to South Carolina, I was kind of questioning myself as to if I could do it. Because here I am now. I played in these All-American games, and I didn't play well. Well, going back to John Reeves again, my second year at South Carolina, Coach Scott brought in John Reeves. And John Reeves taught me coverages. He taught me defenses, and he taught me how to study. And those things were the difference. That's why I didn't play well, right, in those All-American games, because I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what I was doing. I had never been coached. I was raw. I was a raw talent, and I didn't have an understanding of the game. And so me having that experience is the reason why I started this academy, why I started training quarterbacks, because I didn't want these younger quarterbacks to go through the same things that I went through. I want them to be ahead of what I was when I was in high school. I want them to know coverages. I want them to know cover two. You can't throw a hitch in the cover two, or you can't throw a comeback in versus two-man, because that guy's going to be sitting under that comeback. You got to understand what you're looking at and then that's going to slow the game down and make it easier. So that's my passion, is being able to get that knowledge, get that information to the younger kids so that they can be ready to play when it's their time to play.
That is awesome. I love when we have quarterbacks around here. We've done this a lot, guys, with Perry Orth in the past. I've done this with Steven Garcia. You hear these quarterbacks talk. It's amazing that y'all actually know what you're talking about, and all the 80,000 people sitting there. They generally know more than you on Saturdays, but during the week, you somehow know what you're talking about. But Anthony, I want to transition that over a little bit. How would you? This is kind of a two-part question, so I'll let you take it and run with it. This is probably something that people are going to be very interested in. How would you, former Gamecock quarterback, former SEC quarterback, former NFL quarterback, describe current quarterback Spencer Rattler, and why would Spencer Rattler want to play? I don't know how much you know about the new offensive coordinator and Dowell Loggins, but he did call plays and coach quarterbacks for 11 years in the NFL. So what is he going to be learning from this guy with that, bringing that much experience from the NFL level to South Carolina?
Well, first of all, I think Spencer is very good. He made some throws last year that were like handoffs, and dropping the bucket. You got to keep running. Don't slow down. Run right in, touchdowns. And those are elite throws. When you start talking about the NFL guys, the coach that he's going to get is going to be a lot more intricate, a lot more detailed. And what I mean by that is a lot of times you got to know your fronts. You might have to check run plays. You might have to go from one run to another run based on the front that you see. So if it's an over front, or if it's an under front, or if it's a bare front, whatever front it may be, you may have to check out of that based on the play. You have to know your protections. A lot of times, like I said, I don't know if this is what the coach is going to do, but a lot of times you have to know your protections. So I have to know if the Mike and Sam are coming, if they are my hot, or if I can change the protection to pick that up. And then if I do change the protection to pick that up, then I have to also let the next man know that he may be hot on the other side. So it's a lot more control that's involved when you start talking about higher levels of coaching and education. So I don't necessarily know exactly what coach is going to do, but I do know that when you get into the NFL, those are the things that are required of you. You know, you're required to know what the fronts are. You're required to be able to redirect protections. You're required to be able to see things that a lot of college players can't see. And so, you know, and which is good because it prepares you, right? It prepares you for the next level. The thing about it is it takes a lot of time, right? It's time consuming. So you have to sit there, you have to study, and you have to study some more. And so you have to be dedicated to your craft in order for that to work out well.
Can I follow that up real quick, guys? Because I often, we just went through, a couple of years with Coach Satterfield, who's now moved on to Nebraska. And one of the things that was talked about towards the end of his tenure here, and certainly in whom they were going to hire, Anthony, was quote, dumbing it down. You can bring the NFL stuff to the collegiate level, but you need to dumb it down in order for it to kind of work, because not all these guys are going to the league. What does that mean exactly?
Exactly what I just said. So basically, not giving them all of that. So I may just give you runs where you don't have to. I may not allow you to be able to change protection. I just keep it simple. If this guy comes, you throw hot. Instead of being able to change the protection, pick him up. Okay. We're just going to keep it simple and say, okay, if that Sam linebacker blitzes, throw hot. Don't change the protection. Throw the hot. Right?
So like the difference between like the fast break, the Florida State offense, and whatever Coach Reeves brought with him from Florida. So that would be kind of more what you did at South Carolina when you, or were you guys a little more advanced than that during your college career?
What we did, now that I think about it, a lot of stuff that we did was very simple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, if the free safety came in a blitz, I threw a sight adjust. I wasn't changing the protection to pick that up.
Right.
I wasn't. I just threw the sight adjust. If the Mike Stamp came on a blitz, I just threw the hop. I wasn't changing the protection to pick that up. I didn't really know fronts until so I wasn't. I didn't have to come to the line of scrimmage and determine if it was an over or under front. All I had to do was run the run play. You know what I mean? So it wasn't as intricate as it is in the NFL.
How many hours a week in the NFL would you say you have to put in to get all that down pat?
Oh man. Oh man.
What's your job?
It's your job. It's your job. Especially, see, that's the thing. See, that's the key. The key is a lot of these young guys don't understand that that's their job. Okay. They're still treating it like they're in college. They're still treating it like they're in high school. Like, no, the amount of hours that you got to put in, the amount of study that you got to put in, you have to almost be the offensive coordinator. Like, you and the coordinator have to be like this. And what they don't understand is a lot of those pro coaches, like, never even leave, even college. But those guys never even leave the office. Like, I had coaches in the pros that had beds, they had blow-up beds in their office. Like, sometimes they didn't even go home. So they had to spend that much time. Think about it. You had to game plan for the next day. You had to watch the practice for the day you had. You had to break that down. Then, like I said, you had to prepare for the next day's practice. A lot of those guys never even go home during the week. Now, I had coaches that finished work at 1 o'clock, but then had to be back in the building at 5. Let's just say they lived 45 minutes away. So that's a 45-minute drive home, then a 45-minute drive back. It's an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those, so really as a quarterback, if you really want to be successful, a lot of those guys, like I saw something on Drew Brees where Drew Brees, before he broke one of his records, the team had practice. They did all the practice, and then he stayed after practice on the field for like another 2 hours, going through the script again by himself, just walking the script, calling the play out, seeing it, visualizing it in his head, and knowing what to do. Like, that's the kind of time you got to spend if you want to be great. And that's one of the things that I tell my son all the time. I said, listen, if you want to be great, if you want to be good, I need you to understand what you're getting into. I need you to understand that this is what it's going to require. If you really, really want to be good, you're going to have to, like, and I tell them this all the time, and I kind of mean it, and I'm kind of joking at the same time, but I really kind of mean it more than joking. I tell them all the time that you're going to have to kind of be a square, bro. Like, you can't be that it guy. You can't be that Johnny Manziel guy. You can't be that guy to say, I know Jay-Z, I know, I don't know, Timberlake. You can't be that guy. You got to be that guy that you got to stay locked in and focused and do and handle your business.
But can you be the guy that knows Darius Rucker?
Now you can know Darius Rucker.
All right.
So if people want to get in touch with you to get involved in A1, is there a website? How do they find you?
Well, right now, I've got the website developing. I'm developing also my YouTube channel. But right now, my Instagram is Big Wright, BIGWRIGH 2. So it's Big Wright number 2, BIGWRIGH and the number 2. That's my IG. And then obviously my Twitter is Mystery 3222. So my Twitter is MYSTERY 2222.
Well, and we'll keep promoting that. And you can always come on this show. I mean, we'll stay in touch with you, and we'd love to. As a matter of fact, if you want to come talk ball anytime you want to, and just use it as an easy way to promote yourself, do it, because we love to talk ball around here. I have one more question, or actually, I think 2 more questions. I do want to get your Super Bowl pick.
Okay.
But this is a tough question to ask, but I do want to ask you. A few years ago, you had a horrible thing happen to you, and you survived.
Yeah.
How's that changed your life?
Well, it's actually strengthening my foundation.
Yeah,
it's strengthening my foundation. You know what I mean? I my belief system. I know that I'm here for a purpose. I know that I'm here for these kids. I'm here for my kids. I'm here for the rest of these kids that I can help. And you know, so I tell people all the time, I'm never I don't regret it, right? I don't blame anybody. Right? I don't walk around here with feeling sorry for myself or feeling upset with. But I know I'm here for a reason, so I'm gonna make sure I capitalize on that reason.
Well, I tell you what, Gamecock fans sure are happy to see you, and you are welcome here anytime you would like to be. Wait, hold on just a second. Phil, is A1 allowed on our program more than once, or you're the gatekeeper?
Open invitation anytime,
okay.
Anthony. Open invitation.
Who wins the Super Bowl this week?
Super Bowl.
You know what's crazy? I think that it's going to be which team has the ability to score the most points. And if that's the question, I would have to go with Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, you can't pick Philly having played that many years in Dallas, right?
Man, Philly, but man, trust me, many times. But it's not because of that, though. It's not because of that. I just think Pat Mahomes, those guys can score more points. They can score more points. He's a magician. But at the same time, again, Philly has a good defense. I think the Eagles' offense is a little more conventional.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think is as explosive as Chiefs is, but at the same time, you know, when you got Pat Mahomes on the other side and he's running around and making backyard throws and acting like he's about to run and then flipping it at last minute for touchdowns, like it's hard to beat that.
It's hard. Yeah, the Bengals found that out last week, man. Bad. So, well, man, we appreciate it, man. It's been an honor. It's been an honor. And good luck to your son, and we're looking forward to talking to you soon, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me, man, and I wish you guys the best.
Thanks so much.
You too.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
man.
Thank you.
One of the best,
Anthony
best
Wright.
quarterbacks to ever play at Carolina, right there, and proved it in the NFL, and kind of a picture of how to overcome adversity, both on and off the field, in my opinion. Great question there at the end, by the way, JB. And we're overtime, so it's kind of overtime on a Friday. Don't we get paid time and a half for this?
If it's someone like A1 that keeps you OT, it's all right. I'm with that.
Yeah, we had to.
You know, I mean, if it's like Whittle or something, no, I'm not going a minute past one for Whittle.
What about Coach O?
No, no, I'm not. But we will. I'll get with y'all and we'll get some stuff together so occasionally we can throw up some graphics for him to help build
absolutely
his quarterback.
And I know a lot of parents out there whose kids play, and a lot of them play quarterback too, and they're in the Charlotte area. Actually, one of my buddies, Skip, his kid's a quarterback, so I'm about to hit Skip up and be like, hey man, remember, because Skipper used to go with me to the games when Anthony played in '97. We were in college and we went to a lot of games together that year, and he knows exactly.
Well, and JC, there's some excellent quarterbacks in the Charlotte area in addition to his son, and I'm almost anxious to see or find out down the road if any of them are walking through the doors of the A1 quarterback academy, because we might be able to get a little inside scoop on some of the guys that Carolina's recruiting, and hopefully they will be recruiting his son. It's been really neat to see this over the last few years. I know we got to go, but we watched Deuce Staley's son play South Carolina. I know Brandon Bennett pretty well, and watching his son Braden play up at Coastal. You've got the A1 deal going on here. I saw Zola Davis's kid play when he was at Wando just a couple of years ago. All the guys I grew up watching, now all their boys are coming up and playing football. It's making me feel pretty old pretty quick. So pretty cool stuff. But that was great. I'm so glad he said yes to coming on and chatting with us. Thanks for allowing it, Phil.
Oh, yeah, but always happy to have somebody worthwhile on.
Oh,
yeah. Former quarterback.
Yeah, these people are coming back. It's like having people inside suites won't make stadium louder.
JC, don't let it ruin your weekend. That was we'll talk.
Carolina's 13th out of 14th in the SEC in sweets. Does that mean that Georgia's not Auburn and LSU aren't loud? Because people chat sweets.
15th beer at Applebee's coming up for JC.
Yeah, about to start number one. I got to get to Applebee's, y'all.
That's it. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks, JC and Phil. Appreciate you letting me be a part of it, as always.